78 days, 21 hours, 30 minutes and 20 seconds to the 2023 general election. The political parties are fine-tuning their preparation for this all-important obligation. The candidates are also reaching out across the country, reaching out to electorate as we approach the big event. In Abia State, it is no news that the former Vice Chancellor of Abia State University, Professor Ikonne, holds the PDP ticket in the race to continue where Governor Kezi Pazo will drop the baton on May 29, 2023. Dear listener, this is Abia Voice on Flow 94.9 FM, making a debut. The show will highlight the PDP Central Campaign Council, all their candidates, and how they are shaping up for the election. From time to time, we'll be bringing you major players to talk about major issues. Welcome. This is Abia Voice here on Flow 94.9. That's how I welcome you to the maiden edition of Abia Voice of Radio here on Flow 94.9 FM. And my guest is already in the studio, and he is the Director of Strategic Engagements, PDP Campaign Council in Abia State. I'm talking about Chief John Okikalu. Thank you so much, Chief, and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Gineka, for having me. Good morning, wonderful people of Abia State.
Well, elections are approaching fast, and many people are just hustling, especially the candidates and political parties, just like we said it there during our intro. Now, with this program, Chief, starting today, what do you intend to achieve with this? You're starting with Flow FM.
Yeah, thank you very much. Flow FM has always been a strategic partner to the PDP and Abia State government. And we think that this is the right place to start. We also think that the platform provided by Flow FM is good enough for us to disseminate our own information, because there seems to be a lot of propaganda in the air. Not so many people are able to sift through the propaganda to actually get exactly the mark of truth in all this. So using Flow FM as the first platform to launch Abia Voice is a recognition of how far this station has gone. And of course, you know, this station came with Governor Pazo and has grown under Governor Pazo, and other stations have joined in. So Flow is our own baby too.
Okay, well, that's well taken. I'm sure the station manager is nodding to that statement, obviously, that we are doing well. Thank you so much for choosing Flow. Now, moving on the show, let's start with the issue of disagreement. After the disagreement, what is the unity like in PDP ahead of the election? I understand that some people are still within your fold, in PDP, but they are still not comfortable with the situation of how things are being done in the party. So tell us, how have you been able to reach out to these people?
Yeah, disagreement is normal in human relationship, and even husband and wife disagree, brothers and sisters, family members, mother versus father and all that. What matters is how you sort through all that, recognizing which claim is legitimate, which claim can be dealt with at the moment, and which one should be deferred to another time. We have done excellently well. There was a reconciliation committee set up post the PDP primaries. They've gone round and they've done a very good job of reconciling our members. And like you said, of course, there are still pockets of dissent within the ranks. But we know that as we move ahead, as they look through the political environment, they will see that sticking with PDP is the way to go, particularly given that PDP is presenting the best candidate for this election, whether in terms of life experience, in terms of education, and in terms of knowledge of the local environment. We think that we have given Abia the best candidate in the race. So yes, we still have pockets of disagreements. Some of them maybe because of misinformation. At other times you see that people should naturally be disappointed when they want something and they don't get it. You need to give them a little time to come through. It happens to all of us, including you and I. And I like where we are today. Where we are speaks to the fact that if you hold elections in Abia State today, time T, Professor Ikonne will emerge the next governor of Abia State for the reasons I've explained and even more.
Okay, because these allegations, some people I have seen where some of your members, members of the PDP, they are alleging that the aggrieved members are very much in the party and that they are struggling so hard to pull down the party, even when they claim that they are very much in tune with what you are doing. But you see some level of sabotage in what they are doing.
Well, you see, there's something about sabotage. If you cannot do it openly, don't bother doing it privately. Because on election day, our agents will be at every polling unit. The people of Abia State will come out to vote. And I don't know how much sabotage you can do on election day. Now, if you say that you'll be going around to badmouth the party, people will ask questions. Ginika, early this year, up to last year, I hear people call into your programs to say, oh, the problem of Abia State is PDP. The problem is PDP. And I kept on wondering, this PDP is a political party with members, with leaders, with stakeholders. So who are the ones creating all these problems that the people are talking about? And when I waited till May 2022, I discovered that all those people that were leading PDP before now, that they were talking about when they were talking about the problems, are now the leading candidates of the new parties that are emerging. So it speaks to the fact that PDP is the only party that harbors men with leadership capacity. Other political parties wait for us to conduct our primaries, wait to see who will be angry from our primaries to pick. Yet there's this area the problem. If you look around, among all the governorship candidates, they were all former PDP members. If you say PDP has not done well, you should also question them as to their contributions, why they were in PDP. Some of them, were in PDP, and while it was working out according to their own plan, their own personal ambition, they never said anything bad. Now they have suddenly realized that maybe one particular thing they want didn't go to them or did not come to them. They've decided to go to another party to seek for office, which is fair enough. But the fact is that I'm even surprised that some of them will still badmouth PDP without knowing that they were the PDP of the past. There is a new PDP that has emerged in Abia under the leadership of Governor Kezi Ikpeazu. In that new PDP, you have Professor Ikonne as the frontline candidate, carefully selected. I repeat, carefully selected. Why? Because among all the governorship contestants, Professor Ikonne is the only one that you can say has not always been a politician. He has never contested before. He has always been a technocrat serving in the public sector. Professor Ikonne went to school abroad, came back to Nigeria, precisely to Abia State, lectured at Abia State University, became the deputy vice chancellor, was seconded to Abia State Polytechnic, and then back to Abia State University. And if you look at his record across board from when he was deputy vice chancellor, which led to his promotion or which led to his being sent on a rescue mission to Abia State Polytechnic, you will see that he has very good record.
We'll come to that, Chief, because we will still give you a lot of time for you to tell us more about the antecedent of Prof and what he stands for. But let's talk about the issue of participatory governance, like he's been projecting in his campaign. He said participatory governance in Abia. What does that mean?
Indeed, it is a recommendation of global partners.
Okay.
Our global partners, that actually, if a people want to develop, they have to develop an attitude in governance that is from bottom to top. You need to hear from the people. What do they want? It is possible for me to decide to go and do borehole for people in Abama, whereas maybe at that point in time, what the people in Abama want is a security police post. You have done well by providing a borehole, but it's not what they need. Participatory governance simply says that you find out from the people, make them part of leadership, ask them from time to time, what do you want? What are we getting right? What are we not getting right? And it aligns with the personality of Prof. He knows how to listen. He is ready to mine ideas from the public space. Now he has even institutionalized it as a government policy that at all levels the people must lead in deciding what should be done by government, and I think it's laudable. It's something that we should all be proud of.
We have 17 local government, and one will be wondering, how will you do this? Will you go from one local government to the other to engage the people, or will you still go the way of this commissioner is from Ohafia local government? He should tell us.
Now, let me give you an instance. When they were preparing the 30 years economic development plan for Abia State, what they did was to constitute a team. That team went to every ward. If you come to a local government, you assemble all the people from all the wards in that local government.
Okay.
They will make presentations from every ward to say, I am from Ward A. This is what we need you to do now. This is what we need you to do later. That was how they sieved the ideas that came to become Abia State 30 years development plan.
Okay.
It is the same thing you do in participatory governance. Aside from holding town hall engagements from time to time across the local government, you can deliberately work to sieve ideas from the ward up, rather than the state, in quote now, because the state in this case means the executive branch, speaking to what they think the people should want. You now have a situation where the people are the ones speaking to the government to say this is what is important to us right now. And I think it will work better for the people of Abia State.
Okay, now let us talk about the antecedent of Professor Uche Ikonne. Yes, we know that he is the former Vice Chancellor of Abia State University and also former Rector Abia State Polytechnic in Abia. Tell us more about his antecedents.
Let me start by telling you that Prof schooled abroad. He went to secondary school in Abia State, Ihe High School. Okay. He actually schooled at around the same time with Senator Ikonne Abaribe at Ihe. From there, he went abroad to study optometry. As of today, Prof is the chairman of the Optometry Council of Nigeria. That makes him the premier optometrist in Nigeria, the number one, numero uno in Nigeria. Number two, as Deputy Vice Chancellor, Prof defined leadership the way it should be. He was always close to the students, close to the lecturers. And when we sent him to Abia Poly, which was done graciously by the administration of Uchendo Theology. Okay. In fact, I remember that Prof said he was shocked because he never had any engagement with Uchendo. But Uchendo heard about his record as Deputy Vice Chancellor and said, there is a problem. We have outstanding salaries at Abia State Polytechnic. We need to reposition that school because the student population was going down. Prof went there. They had about 8 months in arrears. He paid off and continued to pay every month. And when I say this, I like journalists to go back and investigate. Ask those who were in school that time. Was there any month that Prof missed without paying you your salary?
Is it for ABSU now or Polytechnic?
I'm talking about the Polytechnic. Okay. He never missed 1 month. In addition to that, out of their standings, he paid off at least 3 months that were outstanding. That means there were some months he paid 2 months until he left in November to go to ABSU. Before Prof came to ABSU, we had strikes, regular strike actions in ABSU. I can speak to the fact that throughout his period in ABSU, they never had any strike. I can speak to the growth in infrastructure, the growth in rating of ABSU globally. What did he do differently? He paid the workers. He was able to source money largely from internally generated revenue, not necessarily government subventions and support. He also was able to streamline third fund support to the school such that they were able to do some new projects. If you ask any lecturer of Abia State University, they will tell you that the first time they experienced challenge with salary payment was during the COVID necessitated shutdown. At about that time, students were at home. Nobody paid school fees. The lecturers were also at home. There were challenges. The challenge for the state government then was to protect our people. Now, because students were not paying, and like I said earlier, Prof, even at Abia Poly, was largely depending on student school fees to run those institutions, to pay worker salary. That was when they had a standing. Unfortunately, in this case, it coincided with the time he was about to leave.
Okay.
That was November. If you remember, after the major wave of COVID, we had NSAS protests. Schools effectively opened November, December. By then, Prof left in November, so you had some outstanding.
Okay.
But before then, I challenge anybody who was there to speak to my not telling the exact truth as it concerns that period. Are you going to blame him for COVID? Are you also going to blame him for students and lecturers staying at home around that time? Are you also going to expect that he would have manufactured money to pay within that period? It wasn't possible as at that time. Prof's records are very clear. Prof took that institution from more than 140 something position to about 27 in Nigeria, and the second best state university. Even at Abia Poly, by the time he came, the student population was going down for many reasons. Now he was able to show it up, pay regularly, build some of the infrastructure you see even there today. So we think that Prof is someone we can describe as task oriented. He will get things done. Prof is a serious minded administrator. He has relevant experience in the public sector, the most experience in the public sector among those running for office. There are some of them that they may have done well in the banks, they may have done well with telecoms like myself, they may have done well somewhere in the private sector. But the truth that we must tell ourselves is managing within the private sector is different from managing within the public sector. In the private sector, you can easily hire and fire.
Yeah.
In the public sector, it is not like that. You need to behave like David. Work with those you have gone into the wilderness with and return them back as generals, the great men of David. In the public sector, the governor cannot by fire sack a level 1 public servant. He can't. There are rules. He cannot decide to bring consultants from UK and US to supplant a public servant. You can't do that. The orientation is not to make profit. The orientation is to deliver service within the public sector space. If you do not have public sector management experience, you can't buy that experience. If you want to govern the people, please try and get that experience. It's unique. I had a cultural shock when I joined Governor Ikpeazu. Before Governor Ikpeazu came on board,
coming from the private sector
in 2015, I have never been in government. Indeed, the first time we had a conversation around it, myself and Governor Ikpeazu in 2015, after his electoral victory, I was the one that insisted that I want to experience at a junior level, which was as SSA to governor on ICT. And that was how I went to the e-library. And I had a cultural shock, because in my office, you send somebody to do something, you wait for a result. If that result does not come, you sack, you punish and replace that person. But here, the culture is different. The processes are different. You need to go through the bureaucracy, and those bureaucracies you might not like, but they protect the overall system. You don't have any secret in the public sector. In the private sector, there is a way we manage information on need to know basis. But it is not exactly the same thing with the public sector. So if you have not managed at the public sector level, it will be difficult for you to govern properly. You make the mistake the likes of Donald Trump made in US. You cannot say to me that Donald Trump didn't do well as a private sector person. But you saw all the blunders he committed when he joined the public sector. Not because he's not competent, but because that is a different institution.
Okay. Well, if you're just joining us, this is the maiden edition of Abia Voice here on Flu 94.1 FM, and my guest has been the Director, Strategic Engagement of the PDP Campaign Council here in Abia State, Chief John Okikalu. We'll take a breather. When we come back, there are other issues to talk about, especially where it affects the PDP governorship candidate in Abia State, Professor Ikonne. Stay with us. The Abia Campaign Council, Chief John Okikalu. Thank you so much and welcome back to the program, Chief.
Thank you.
Now, let us start again with this issue of the experience. Before you get into office, we'll have experience, especially where it affects growing the economy and generating revenue. Of course, you've been there, especially in Abia and the rest of them. Now, what experience does Prof have, to make sure that he grows the economy and the revenue base of Abia State as a governor?
Thank you very much. As Vice Chancellor of Abia State University and as Rector of Abia State Polytechnic, what did Prof do in growing internally generated revenue? Number one, he introduced technology. Before he came to Abia Poly, students were buying receipts. A lot of money, half of the payments made by students were not getting to the coffers of the institution. He introduced technology to ensure that every payment gets to the account of the school. Hired appropriate experts to deliver on that. The same experts delivered on making sure that every penny paid by a student gets to the purse of Abia State University in Oturu. So he has experience. Like I said earlier, basically, Prof ran those institutions from internally generated revenue, not from state subventions. I am happy to confess that as Abia State government, we owed him months of subventions, but that never impacted his capacity to run the institutions, his capacity to pay salaries of those workers. The only time he had challenges, like I said, was when there was COVID lockdown. Students were not in school. Where is the primary source of internally generated revenue? It's just like the state government. During COVID that time, nobody was going after people to come and pay taxes because we said everybody should stay at home. Don't come and mix up. Even the tax people did not come out. Indeed, we were busy giving tax waivers that time as part of our effort to make sure that people have enough money to stay alive. So, among all the contestants, Professor Ikonne has the most experience in using internally generated revenue to run institutions, public sector institutions, and he did it in two institutions of note. Abia State Polytechnic, as at that time, had more than 20,000 students. Abia State University, of course, had much more than that in the number of students. If somebody, in fact, I like to say this, there is no single family in Abia State that has not been impacted directly by Ikonne magic. What do I mean by that? I have graduates that studied under Ikonne. I have lecturers that earn salaries while Ikonne was either rector or VC. So you see that Ikonne imprints are already there. Ikonne has the most experience. I am very sure that he will continue with the deployment of technology to collect revenue. I am very sure that he will further enhance what we've put in place, because a lot of the issues we had when we came on board was baseline database collection.
Okay.
You need that for you to effectively computerize revenue collection. Now we have gotten to that point where we can beat our chest to say that we at least know up to 60% of possible taxpayers in Abia State through conscious effort and the good job done by Mark Atasi and his team. What Prof can only do, given his experience, is to continue in that direction, grow it to 100%, because you need data. for you to do what has to be done. It is only when you have adequate data that you can now eliminate middlemen completely and be able to generate revenue to the level that will support the state, the running of the state, and the provision of basic services, including payment of salaries. If there is one person among the contestants that you can vouch for that will pay salary regularly, it is Ikonne, because he's the one with that kind of experience. He's also the one, in fact, the way he dismisses talks about salary payment, he said he cannot discuss that anybody who knows him will know that it will never be an issue, because he has been a paid worker. He has also paid others within the public sector environment, and he understands what needs to be done. So I think that we are in good place with him. There are places as a government that we believe we didn't do too well. There are places that we have done well too. In these places that we have done well, he will improve upon those upon that area. In those places we have not done so well, the truth is that he is also aware, and those are the areas he has mapped out plans, contingencies around. And I am confident in recommending Professor Eliezer Ikonne to the good people of Abia State. And I am also aware that those running against him, I know every one of them. I just don't want to engage in rancorous politicking. I want issue-based, and I thank you for the kind of questions you are asking today. I don't want to start talking about individuals, but I know them. If you say that these are the people in PDP before now, and you didn't like PDP, I am asking you to join Professor Ikonne in the new PDP, because those people, the system has been able to weed them out one way or another, and we now have a new PDP where you have a core technocrat, the most qualified academically, the one person that you can beat your chest and say he knows Abia. Why? Because since he came back from abroad, where he schooled, he has lived and worked in Abia. His family breathes the air of Abia. There is nothing Prof does not know about Abia. So why would you want to go and look for an emergency politician? All these people that are flying with helicopter every election period and make good speeches, basically condemning everything.
Well, Chief, let us now talk more about Prof and his government if eventually he gets elected. You know that to run a government successfully, you must have the resources. That was why I asked the question initially. But then again, Abia appears to be that, like everybody believes, that Abia is the commercial hub of not only Abia State but the Southeast. Now, what plans does Prof have for Abia, and probably maybe other satellite town like Abia, and then again the state capital, to make sure that you generate enough revenue to at least run your government?
Let me shock you. You know, people keep talking about Abia and Onisha, and they are targeting my traders. Right? You people like targeting my traders. But they are not the ones that provide the most value in IGR. The most value comes from the group whose payment is easier to collect, costs you less to collect, has stability. Those are the people in the organized institutions. Those are the people that you collect their tax revenue at source, even before they are paid. When you hear that certain states are doing very well with internally generated revenue, go and look at the number of institutions that are in those states that are organized and properly running. For instance, in Enugu State, you have IMT, you have ESUT, you have UNN. There are workers in those institutions. All those workers, every month, they must remit their payee tax. A lot of the revenue coming out from Enugu State is coming from that direction. Now, it is cheap to collect because you don't need to deploy tax agents to the markets. What we have done, which I'm sure Prof will build on, is to identify every single trader in our market with a unique number. Those traders, you don't need to chase them to pay. They only need to use their phone and pay. And automatically, the system at the Board of Internal Revenue, that's Abia Internal Revenue Services Agency, will pick up that Ginika in shop 2 in Ariaria has paid.
Okay, so how will you map out the numbers?
Because we have ASEN.
Okay.
And every person living in Abia is supposed to register and have an ASEN number. Every ASEN number is unique to an individual. What we have done since I came on board in the Ministry of Trade is to support the Board of Internal Revenue to do a proper mapping of every trader, every shop owner. That was why it was easy for us to dispatch waivers to those affected in A line by the flood.
Okay.
Because we know everybody there. That is being done in all the markets. I can speak to Ariari, I can speak to Ikonne market, I can speak to Ahiohoro. So we have built a certain level of infrastructure that Prof will tap into, so that we will even stop hiring middlemen. Those middlemen we hire to collect revenue. One, they take a percentage of that revenue. Before now, they were taking almost all, and that was aiding and abetting corruption.
You are talking about consultants now.
Middlemen, not just consultants, whatever name you call them. Okay. All those people you see going around with Oshishi.
Okay, they
chasing people.
Okay.
I mean, it's absurd that things like that still happen. But what I want people of Abia State to know is that we saw that problem, we designed solutions, and that we are actively building on that solution. We didn't leave it like that. And all we are asking Professor Ikonne to do is to also use his experience with ABSU and Abia Poly to build on what we have done and make it the code for the whole state, so that nobody will continue chasing my traders about closing shops and all that. I don't like it. I want my traders to make money, but I also want them to be law-abiding citizens. I want them to stay in a year and know that they have 21,000 to pay to the state government. If you have 5,000 in January, wire 5,000 through your own account, transfer it, record your asset number, it counts for you. If you have another 5,000 in 3 months time, pay another one until you pay up the 21,000. You don't need anybody to chase you to do that. And once we get to that point, you will see that internally generated revenue will increase, and we will find jobs for the touts. We are developing structures as a government that Professor Ikonne will inherit to create even more jobs than we have done. Today, National Bureau of Statistics compiled an independent report across the 36 states of the Federation, and they said that poverty is afflicting Nigeria. 133 million new poor people exist in our midst, but that if you go to top 3 states, Ondo, Lagos and Abia, that you will see that the level of poverty and the associated issues around poverty will be the least in those 3 states. What they are saying is Abia has done well with human capital development. Abia has done well with security. Abia has done well with distribution of health facilities. You see, when you talk about health, most people want to speak to general hospitals. I can speak to what we have done differently as a government.
Okay, exactly what my question is, because for you to convince Abians to actually vote for PDP and Professor Ikonne as the governor, of course, you should be able to tell them what you've been able to do in the past 7 years of Bazo's administration. That will give them the confidence as far, okay, we are going to go for PDP. And so now, Chief, tell us in specific areas, sectorally, what the present government has been able to do that will attract the vote of Abians for Professor Uche Ikonne?
Thank you very much for that question. There's a way I like answering that question. I like to say to people, where were you? How were you? What were you doing in 2015 when Governor Ikpeazu came on board? Where are you now? In 2015, there was no single good road in Aba. Today, you can drive from the flyover through most of urban Aba, and you will see that we have improved the road infrastructure. There was no single government-owned street light in Aba. There was no single government-owned traffic light. Today, you have seen what we've done. In Umuahia, I like to say to people, how was Aba Road before Governor Ikpeazu came on board? What have we done? How come nobody is talking about the work we did in Osa area of Ohon? If you go behind State CID in Umuahia, there are about 9 clusters of roads that we consulted there as part of the Umuagri-Singwu Erosion Mediation Project. That area has suddenly come to life such that I have seen 2 new hotels, wonderful properties developing around that area with a lot of security. If you move along Mission Hill, you can follow the new Umuagri Road all the way down to the other side of Ohun land.
Was it done by this?
It was done by Governor Ikpeazu, by this administration. If you go to Mbarakuma in Umuahia, that road was done by Governor Ikpeazu. We did Road 2 in World Bank low-cost housing estate. We did Road 8 in low-cost housing. We went to Abama and did Abama Ring Road. We have not solved all the problems in Abia State, but we have done a lot, and we have given Professor Ikonne a total brief on the challenges we had, where to focus on, where we were not able. He's not going to go back to any of those things we've done. That is as it concerns road infrastructure. As concerns other infrastructure, of course, you know we were the ones that built Abia Investment House. We completed some other projects done by the Ochendo administration. There were so many good projects done by Ochendo administration. Some of them we have maintained, others we completed, because there is always need for continuity in governance, so that you don't make the mistake that Nigerians made in 2015 when they replaced Jonathan with Buhari. Now, we have presented a man that has the capacity to understand the challenges we had as a government and improve upon it. Aside from that, in education, back to back for 4 years, Abia came first. Back to back for 4 years. We are asking Professor Ikonne to increase the gap between Abia and those that will come second. And we have told him, these are the things we did. We were able to do at least 650 new classroom blocks and 4 model schools. We think you should fence all our schools in Abia, because those schools we could not fence, and we were not able to protect computers and other resources we were going to place in those schools. We have briefed Professor Ikonne on that, and we said fence all the major public schools and make sure that you are able to build teachers' quarters inside. When people even talk about salaries, I have at one particular time said to somebody that if you want to make salary the issue for campaign, let us agree as Abians that those we have paid regularly should vote for us, and you will see that more than 70% of the workers in Abia State will vote for us. It's just that there were areas, particularly with parastatals, that we didn't succeed because we had a different idea. Our idea was the Ikonne model, where you have managers that are able to mine resources internally and run independently. Today, you hear that health workers, doctors want to go on strike.
Yes.
For maybe, I don't know how many months they are talking about. I'm no longer the Commissioner for Information, but maybe 10 months unpaid wages. And you want to ask, so they worked for 10 months. They worked for 10 months and they were not paid. In those 10 months, where is the money they made? What has happened to it? How come they didn't use the money they made to pay themselves?
But are they supposed to be paying?
I'm coming.
Okay.
See, it is a revenue generation engagement.
Okay.
When you are running a revenue generating agency or parastatal, you are expected to make money. I keep repeating the Ikonne model, and I said to you that when Ikonne went to Abia Poly, that he generated revenue and used it to run that institution largely. We gave him support with an outstanding loan that was taken even before he came on board, 2 billion naira that was taken. We gave him support by clearing that, but he largely generated revenue internally. He did the same thing with ABSU. Ask those people. Sometimes you will hear people crying that he increased school fees. That was because he was mining revenue. Even with the increment there, Ebonyi State University is still paying higher than ABSU. Imo State University is still paying higher than ABSU. So he is a brilliant administrator and manager of men and resources.
Yes, because that brings me to the next question, which is, Chief, the issue of these agencies of government who are owing, several months of unpaid salaries to workers. And one will be wondering if Prof actually did well in ABSU and Abia Poly. How is he going to handle this? Because the backlog will still be there.
He needs, see, I am very sure that Governor Ikpeazu has plans for some of them to support them. Because to me, I see that as support. There is a general hospital in my village, Abreba. Since I came to government in 2015, that hospital has never opened. But there are doctors receiving salaries as working in that hospital. There are nurses receiving salary as working in that hospital.
So he will look at the personnel too, the service delivery.
That Professor Ikonne is aware of all this. Part of what he must do is to rejig such things and see that they no longer happen without sacking workers. Because we have also said to him that no matter what you do, one of the options you have should not be to sack Abia workers. And he agrees. It is when you lack ideas that you go for simple solutions like sacking workers. It's a simple solution. It is because, see, every worker has about 8 dependents. You don't want to propagate poverty in the name of governance. When you look at places like that, when people say, I am a medical doctor, they are owing me 10 months, can you also ask that person, have you been working in government hospitals for 10 months? If yes, how much did you collect as ticket fee, as consultation fee, and where is the money? I am sure that we will engage and solve some of these problems. The governor is desirous of solving it. I have read somewhere that the state government has mapped out a plan to pay 2 months and pay another 2 months. We might never be able to clear all of them. We will do as much as we can, but we know with certainty. I'm sure you will come to the launching of the manifesto of Professor Ikonne. He has studied from our strengths and weaknesses. He is ready from day one to govern, and he will solve this problem. And my assurance to Abia workers is the same. He's not interested in sacking anybody. He is only interested in streamlining things in such a manner that these things will work without necessarily owing workers. Look, Ginika, one of the things you people don't discuss is the fact that Abia state workers are the best paid in the southeast.
How?
They are the best paid pound for pound. Level 1 worker in Abia receives more than level 1 in Ebonyi, more than level 1 in Enugu, more than level 1 in Imo State and Anambra State. They are the best paid. And yet, when people say, oh, you are owing workers, there was a time I was in a sister radio station. They said that. I said, please, if you are working in Ministry of Trade and Investment, call in. If you are working in the Ministry of Education, call in. If you are working in ABSEDA, call in. Tell them whether you are being owed or not. And nobody called in. We have problems with some revenue generating parastatals, and our model as a current administration was not to spoon feed them. That was why we changed some of the managers of those places, because we were looking for people who understand what Professor Ikonne did in Abia Poly and ABSU. Those who understand will be able to generate revenue. Don't give government. We say don't give us. Do you know that the school fees they paid in ABSU don't get to state government account? The one they pay in Abia Poly never got to state government account. We say use it and run. If you have a extraordinary problem, we will come in and help you. If that model is put to work across board, Abia will be better off.
So
anybody defining,
you are promising that Prof will champion that?
Certainly, because he's been able to operate that himself.
Right.
Prof is coming with loads of experience in that area, not talk. Some of them, I know how their workers feel about them, but I'm not here for Ikonne, so I'm not going to get into that. But if you go to some of them where they are superintending, ask the workers how they feel about their capacity
Chief,
to
let's take a breather now and see if we can take one or two calls on this program. It's still the Abia Voice here on Flow 94.1 FM. I've been speaking with Chief John Okikalo, the Director of Strategic Engagement of the PDP Abia Campaign Council, of Professor Uche Ikonne. Let's take a breather. When we come back, we'll open the phone lines. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the program. It's still Abia Voice here on Flow 94.1 FM. It's time for us to allow you to make your contribution on the show. The numbers to call are 080-8182-6949 or 0811-605-2949. You can also drop messages on our Facebook page. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning,
Good morning, sir.
In fact, you have spoken well. You are a good marketer. You market Ikonne so much. Then all I want to say is that you're not even too much talking about who will rule Abia and who will not rule Abia. We are watching what someone has done previously. But we are voting on what somebody has done previously. What you did in the past will campaign for you, not talking. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Eka.
Good morning, welcome.
Thank you, bless you. This is Kenneth.
Okay, go ahead.
These politicians, they know how to use systems. Agents are getting water every day, every week, and every month, and every year. 20 years of PDP, not a disaster. And you can't tell me that after 20 years, others could not get anything meaningful to compete with others who are new and came better. Number two, Ikonne's experience, like they said, you are blaming opposition for not bringing their experience to help Okeze to run the state. Why didn't Ikonne bring that experience to help Okeze to do well in PDP?
Okay. Quickly, please.
In fact, 4 years of Abia being on top in education is good to the private schools, not to the public schools, because they have completely wind Abia up. Let us be careful.
Okay.
Say, God bless you.
All right, thank you so much. Chief, before you now answer to that, let's take one or two messages from our Facebook page. This one says, good morning, Honorable Commissioner. Well, he's not appearing as Honorable Commissioner, but member, or rather Director of Strategic Engagement of PDP Abia Campaign Council. Now, you said, I just want to ask a simple question. How do you see Sigeto Moahe, German from Ikonne? Okay, thank you. Okay, Honorable Commissioner, you can now answer.
Thank you very much. The last caller, let me respond to you. You asked how did Ikonne help Ikpeazu? Number one, he helped Ikpeazu when he was able to pay salaries at Abia Poly, run that school profitably, in the manner of speaking. Students graduated from that institution. The school's rating went up. He helped Ikpeazu when he also improved the rating of APSU, because he was doing his job diligently. Yes, I can beat my chest and say Professor Ikonne helped us to deliver to our people. Number two, you mentioned something about private school. It's not true. I have seen the report that gave us first position for 4 years. There are many public schools listed as top performers, including 2 schools in Ohafia, where I come from. Ohafia South has 2 schools that perform very well, and of course there are also some private schools like Marist Academy. If you look at the totality of the results I saw, the public schools did better than the private schools. Okay. Number 3, let me also respond to PDP being here for 20 years. Let me tell you who was here for 20 years. Orji Okalo was PDP governor from 1999 to 2007. If you are still counting him as part of the PDP,
no, 2006 he became a PPA, if you remember.
No.
Okay.
He was a PDP governor to 2007.
Okay.
And if you are still counting him as the PDP years, to God be the glory. Around that time, the Senator Inabaride was deputy governor for 4 years, and Senator Inabaride, who is now of Abia, was also PDP senator for almost 16 years.
Okay.
Dr. Lesoti was also there. He was a member of the PDP, registered in Aruchukwu ward.
Leslie.
No, I want to point out those who were in PDP.
I think
Nana Wafo was in PDP. He was a contractor. In fact, he's still our contractor till now.
Are you comfortable with the way Isigate is? Just like somebody.
Regarding Isigate, I am not happy. No. But they must realize that Isigate does not fall immediately under our purview as Minister of Trade and Investment. There are some markets. There are some markets we don't own. Prof said he has 2 flyovers he's planning immediately for more here. One at the Tower area, the other one at Ishigate. That means he cares about Ishigate.
Okay, Mandubo. I've been speaking with the Chief John Oki-Carlo, Director of Strategic Engagement, PDP Abia Campaign Council. Thank you so much, Chief. You're called Mandubo, my brother. You've delivered. Thank you very much, my brother. Wonderful people of Abia State. May God bless all of us in Jesus' name. Okay. Iwogbu mmadụ ibe gị chijola ewuru pastor mee ihe ọjọọ echijola onye ọbụla mema mma imema mma Ikonne mee more. All right, thank you so much, Chief, and to all of you who called in, thank you so much. Sincere thanks to my producer Samson.